All right, hi IBCA. We're going to do the amortization schedule that we did in class. I just did this whole video. It was like 25 minutes long and my microphone wasn't plugged in. So, check your hardware, folks. Okay, so let's start Excel. You're going to open a blank workbook. And we're going to do the amortization. Amortization, I'm going to write it right here so you can see what the word looks like. Has the Latin word mort in it. That means death. What we're doing is killing the debt. So we're trying to watch it die, basically. So you're like trying to get down to zero. I'm going to label a couple places here. We're going to go around about to G and type in balance. I want the date over here all the way to the left on 1A. The date being all the way on the left and the balance being all the way on the right. You can forget this is over here. But that matters here so that you can see what you're looking at visually. The stuff in the inside doesn't matter that much. Well, I'm talking about what order you put them. They matter. They just don't matter necessarily what order you put them in. So I'm going to put principal. I notice a lot of people are spelling principal the wrong way. Principal, and when you're talking about money, is A-L, principal on the end, not P-R-I-N-C-I-P-L-E. That would be like a thought or an idea. But this one is amount of money, like the main amount of money. Okay, interest right here. That's not your interest rate. That is the dollar amount of interest you're paying. And then your payment. Okay, that's the three things we need over there. I'm going to widen each of these. We talked about that in class, how to widen these and how to make them taller if you want. You just drag these in the middle. But we're going to do different today than what we did in class is I'm going to have the interest rate over here on the side. And I'll put 0.04. Okay, I'm going to underline this whole thing right here using this bottom board. You can open this right here if you want and use, but I'm going to underline the whole interest rate area here, and I'm actually going to underline all those too, using that same thing. This you really don't even need, but that's just a word for you to look at so you can see that's what we're doing. Okay. I'm actually going to bold all these, I think. Okay. So we bought a car on January 1st. And we're going to be paying our notes every month. We need to get a pattern going here of about... now, January won't count for our pattern because we did not have any interest in January and we did not make any payments in January because that's just the day we bought. That's when we bought the car. First payment wasn't due till February. So we're not going to include that in our pattern that you'll see in a minute. But that is when we bought it. So we're going to put the $14,000 there on our balance. So in February is when we had to start making our payments. The car dealership guy said, can you handle a $250 payment? And you'll have 4% interest. And you're like, yeah, I can handle that. Because you looked at your budget that we made last week to see that you made enough at Baskin-Robbins or Walmart or whatever to say, yes, I can handle a $250 payment. So you're going to put $250 in there, and we want to put it in, I'm going to put it in 4 times. You can do more, or you could probably do 3 and get away with it, but we're going to do 4. If you do just 2, it won't, our pattern won't be long enough. Okay. So to figure up our amount of principal, which is, we owe $14,000. They don't give it to us interest-free, though. They are going to charge us money. The 4% that will be charged to us goes straight to the banker's pocket. They get to do whatever they want with it, in their business. And we still have to pay them the $14,000. So in addition to the $14,000, that other money is not helping us out at all. It's only going to pay the bank. The principal is the part that helps us. The interest is what we're paying the bank to have borrowed their money from them. So what we're going to first look at here is our interest. Stop. No. So we're going to figure up our interest by saying equals. Remember to do a formula. It needs to always have equals in it. It's going to equal the $14,000, which is what the balance was last month. We're going to times it times J1, but I'm going to put a $sign right in front of the J and a $sign in front of the 1. And I'll show you why in a minute. Then we want to divide that by 12. Okay? Hope I didn't lose y'all with that. So if we just did J1, when we go to do this pattern, it's going to try to look at J2 and J3 and J4. So if we put the $sign J, $sign 1, that means it will stick to that one cell. It won't try to find it somewhere else. Okay, it won't be part of the pattern. It's like there's a word for it that I can't think of, but it sticks it. We're dividing it by 12 because we're not paying a full year's worth of interest. We're only paying 1 month, just February. Hit enter, and you see a number here that it does not look like money. We want this row. I'm going to hold down the control key. We learned this in Word. This row, column, this column, and this column to all look like accounting numbers, right? So I'm going to right click after I have them all selected, or you can do one column at a time if you want. And I'm going to go to Format Cells and tell it the category that I want it to be. You can pick any of these. I want this to be an accounting with 2 decimal places and a $sign, simple. So now my interest looks a lot more normal, $46.67. My principal will be whatever payment I made, so it's going to equal the payment minus the amount that the banker is going to take to put in his pocket. This is the amount that will actually help me out, will go toward my balance. So that's how much I'm going to my balance after February 1st, after I made my payment, is going to be equal to last month's balance minus that principal, because that's the only part I get credit for. I don't get credit for the interest. You have to pay it, but it's not going to help me out on my balance. Okay, so let's do this again for 3 times. So interest was going to equal don't worry about your payment, it's going to equal your balance times $sign J, $sign 1 divided by 12. The J1, remember, is we're putting our interest rate right here. I'm doing that so that we can change the interest rate and still use our amortization schedule. So to figure out our principal, it's going to be equals the amount we paid minus the interest rate that the banker took. So that's how much we're going to get credit for, $204.01 in March. So that's going to equal last month's balance, not the $14,000. We're done with $14,000. We no longer owe them $14,000. We only owe them this amount minus our principal gives us our new balance. Let's do this again. Try to do a few of these without watching the video or whatever to see if you've got it, if you understand the concept of it. So the principal is going to equal our payment minus the interest. The balance will equal last month's balance minus the amount of principal we paid in April. So our interest in May is going to equal the April balance times, you can put the 4%, you could just put 0.04 divided by 12 if you want, but what we're wanting this worksheet to work in our favor so that if we change the interest rate, we can do it with one click. The $sign J, $sign 1, you see it highlights, make sure it highlights this when you do that so you know you got the right one, divided by 12. Also keep watching your numbers, making sure they kind of make sense. These should be going down and these should be going up. If you randomly have like 500 and something here, that means you forgot to divide by 12 or something. So our principal is going to equal our payment minus our interest. And then our balance is going to equal last month's payment minus the principal. Okay. This is all fine and good, but it only gets us to May of 2020. And we still owe $13,182. So we have to keep doing this. One thing about the dates over here, let's go ahead and format that column. Click on the column right click on it, hit format cells, and you want this to be a date. Pick any of these you want. I like this one. Now, when you see all these pounds, oh, okay, mine made it bigger for me. If you have a bunch of pound signs here, like, you know, hashtags, whatever, all you have to do is widen this column so that they'll fit. Because all that means is you can't see the data that's there because the column's too skinny. Okay, I'm going to grab these 4 that I did. Do not use January because you don't have anything in principal or anything in interest or anything in payment. So these all have formulas in them. So highlight all of this. You will have a white, it is highlighted. So don't try to like sit there and try to fool with it. It's highlighted. You can see the green box around it. It just shows you where the beginning cell is for that for some reason. It used to bug me and I kind of forgot about it until someone mentioned it in class. But yeah, it'll be white. It won't be highlighted like the rest. Then once you get to the bottom of this, not this big like that cross will not work. That's going to select cells. It needs to be this little skinny cross. Grab it and pull down. You can see self in row 33. We're at August 2022, but we're about halfway there, $7,300. And then it starts going a lot faster because your interest is much smaller than it was at the beginning. So that $250 is going at a much accelerated rate the further you get into this. Your whole $250 is pretty much going to pay for your car instead of going to the banker. Okay. All right. So as you can see, I hit the bottom. So it looks like in March 2025, after we made that payment, we owed $21.84. I'm going to delete this row. I just highlight it and hit delete. If you need more rows, you can always do them back the same way. Just grab and, you know, so, or you can do like, let's see. And then when you see it, before you unclick it, you can actually pull up to where you want it to be. I'm gonna stop here. So my last one, if I make that last payment in April of $250, I will have overpaid by $228.09. Now, instead of pulling out a calculator or your phone to try to figure out the difference between $250 and $228.09, just come over here to the side. That's what this thing is, a huge calculator. You should never have to pull a calculator out. So you can just say equals. You can type those in by hand, or you can, hey, this minus this. Actually, that's a negative, so let me do a plus. Okay. All right. Most of y'all have already had algebra, so y'all should know this. This is a negative number. So if I say this minus this, it's going to add them together. So I need to actually say equals this plus this negative $21.91. So what that tells me is that my last payment should be $21.91, and then so in April, when I make my last payment, instead of send them $250, I need to send them $21.91. My balance was only $21.84, so if I send them $21.84, look what's going to happen. I owe them 7 cents still because I did not pay the interest that month, and you can't do that. You have to pay them their interest too, even if it's just a little bit. Okay. So just because the balance over here does not necessarily mean it's your payoff, and this is why, because of the interest. So, what was I gonna else add here? At the bottom of these, you can do an auto sum to figure out this is how much your principal should be, the exact amount. We did these in class too. Hit your auto sum button right here, and it automatically adds up everything in this column. Auto sum. This is the sum of your payments. Okay, you can see that your principal plus the sum of your payments does equal. Your principal plus your interest equals the amount you paid total. Or you can use you can see it right here. You can actually type that in, equals sum, open parenthesis, and then you can highlight the ones, or you can do D3 colon D65 or whatever it is you want to be added to that. Okay, a formula. Okay, so what did I want to add? Oh, let's say keeping something like this available, like on your hard drive, where you can just go in and like change the numbers as needed, is so helpful. Let's say that you're getting 5% interest, or let's say there's a credit card that's like, hey, it's only 21% interest. You could type in the 0.21, and they want to lend you $14,000. Look what happens to your amount of interest in the first month. I mean, look at this, how ridiculous. Look how slow. At that amount of interest, 5 years later, you still owe, you've had a total of not even about $338 paid down toward this. It's pitiful. So anyway, but that's cool how you can just change your interest rate right here. Okay. Also, if you have an extra $1,000 like in February, or like let's say your birthday is in, okay, your birthday was in like June, and somehow you got an extra $1,000, you want to make it $1,250 that month. You can see how that affects your whole bottom line. You can go down to the bottom and see, oh, that just paid you off 6 months sooner. You know, which is pretty cool. All right, or if you had a down payment, put this back to $250. If you had a down payment that was like $2,000 worth, so your balance, so all you have to borrow is $12,000. You can change that right here and see what will happen then, and you'll see that you'll be paid off here, or well, I guess here in June. You'd have to change this last payment to reflect this. But anyway, you can do this with your house. You can put 100,000 right there. 4% interest rate looks good, but your payment's probably gonna be somewhere like $1,000 or something. And then you can see what happens to it. But in a mortgage, you're not going to have, I mean, like, 5 years later, you still owe over half of it. Because it's just your interest is a lot higher than it would have been. Okay. Your assignment is supposed to be to locate a vehicle that is for sale, like a real vehicle out on the internet or somewhere. I'd like you to attempt to put all that information like in a pretty little box right here. Put a picture of the car in there, put the price, put the maybe the advertised interest rate, the advertised payments, whatever on here. You may have to call a dealership and ask a few questions. You may just want to guess on some stuff. I would say you can go with a $250 payment and be kind of safe for most cars that are under what? $20,000. What?
Nothing.
Quit. My apologies. I cannot see my video, so I don't know what's going on behind me. Sorry. Okay. So anyway, but if you would put something like kind of cool looking right here to show us the car you picked out and how much it would cost you and all that kind of stuff. Okay. All right. I think that was all I wanted to include on this. I think you can change. I don't remember if I told you this or not. You can try to use some of these styles and stuff up here. You're not gonna be tested on any of this like ever, because well, maybe not ever, but not in my class. But you can change up, make some stuff look a little bit prettier if you want to. You could do like this whole. You could add just the left border onto it. Maybe the left and the right. Outside borders, and then it makes, I don't know, you can do different things like that. You can add a comment on it. You can do all kind of stuff. So where'd it go? Insert comment, and you could have like do not pay the full $250 this month, whatever, and so now you have a little comment here. Okay, play around with all that kind of stuff, and we'll look at more of it too together in class. But so far I'm hearing great reports from you guys that y'all like Excel, so that makes me super happy because I like it a lot too, and it's one of the most useful tools you'll have. Ask me any questions you have. Bye guys.